Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here, Smart Business Moves. Got Liz out on the West Coast. Hello, Liz.
Hi, y'all.
And we got our guest today is Mr. Ken Carfagno. And Ken is in Philadelphia. Ken, he's a fellow engineer. I just learned before we went live. He too had a real job at one time and then got into the house cleaning business. His area specialty is solo cleaning, setting up solo cleaning business models, and that's kind of a hot topic here in a COVID-19 world because there's a lot of health benefits to that. Hey, Ken, how are you today?
I'm fantastic. I appreciate you both having me on the show. You run a first notch cleaning today show, and it's great to be on.
Oh, gee, thank you.
Super glad to have you. Hey, Marlo, good to see you.
So you guys be thinking about your questions as it pertains to solo cleaning or anything else for that matter. But Ken's going to be sharing with us just some general background, and we're hoping to get a bunch of questions, and this will be fun and useful.
Hey, Debbie.
Before we jump into too much of that, though, if anybody's been watching the news, you'll see that the president signed what they call an executive order Saturday. A couple of things. They're supposed to be extending some level of federal unemployment insurance, and it's my understanding that will start in September, maybe. It's still a bit fuzzy. A lot of the details haven't been fleshed out. Supposed to be $400 a week on top of the normal state benefit, but 100 of that 400 is supposed to be coming from the states. So, who knows what that's going to look like or when it's going to happen or even if it's going to happen. There's a lot of people questioning the constitutionality of it. One other thing that he did that you're going to be hearing about as part of these resolutions, executive orders, there were several of them actually. One is what they call a payroll tax holiday, where as an employer, you pay your employee half of the Social Security and Medicaid benefits for your people, and your people pay the other half. Well, both halves of that are being suspended. The Treasury has the authority to suspend those payments. They do not have the authority to waive those payments. So what they're saying is, the administration is saying is, if I get reelected, we get reelected, we're going to waive all of those. Not sure if they have the authority to do that or not. They don't without congressional support, with the way most people read, the law of the Constitution. If you don't collect those employee part of the Social Security and Medicaid, there's a real chance at the end of the year or sometime the Treasury would come back and say, hey, they were suspended, but they weren't waived, and you got to pay us all the part that you were supposed to be paying as an employer plus as an employee. We're getting more data, so we don't know enough to know for sure, but just don't be spending that money yet, thinking that, that's 15% of your payroll that you're saving, because at least the way I'm planning on running my business, if they wind up doing it, we're going to still collect it and kind of put it in a separate place and forget about it. And then at the end of the year, we'll wait and see what happens.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do too. Good advice, Tom. Thank you. Hey, Heather. Oh, looks like Heather is a big fan there, Ken. Can you see the comments, Ken? On the right-hand side of your screen, right where it says private chat, there's another tab that'll show you the comments.
My bad. Hey, Heather. Great to see you.
Got Leslie here today.
And there is another thing that I saw that I did not know about, that some people are getting a second stimulus check. Not because it's in addition to, but some people didn't get the full stimulus check for their dependents. So if you were one of those people, and I do remember hearing about a couple people, and I was like, what? That must be a mistake. It looks like those checks are going out this week. So yay for those of you that didn't get your dependent portion of your checks. So I was happy about that.
And they're more calming. I mean, supposedly Congress is on August recess now, but I heard several folks from both the House and the Senate say that they're still staying in the loop and they're talking and they'll still have votes if there was anything to vote on. So who knows? Never a dull moment.
Who knows? We'll find out when we find out, when they give us money or don't.
Yep. That's why I say focus on what you can control.
Yeah. The only thing is I do like to have a little bit of a heads up, because sometimes the decisions that I make today are not the best decisions based on some of the things that come down the pike. Like that's what happened with my PPP money, right? I wish I would have paid a little bit better attention to what was coming. I would have spent that money more responsibly. I would have made better decisions. But I mean, it is what it is. I probably should have stayed just a little bit better informed there.
Yeah.
So if that's the worst thing that happens to me, I'm going to be feeling like I'm coming out of this a winner.
It was still free money.
Yeah, free money's free money. I love me some free money.
So Ken, what's going on in your world?
Well, I got 5 kids. There's always a lot going on in my world. And right now, mom's not here. And so the various kids know that dad's on a call. And so I hope they're being good. They might pop in and hopefully they won't interrupt too much.
What age groups are we dealing with here?
So we're talking about the youngest is 3 and the oldest is 15.
So anything can happen here over the next hour.
That's why I have a basketball hoop in the back to keep them busy if they come and interrupt me.
No,
but yeah, we homeschool. We've been doing that for a long time. We're up in the Philadelphia suburbs. But like I said to you pre-call, Tom, I was a mechanical engineer. I was a self-appointed big shot. I was recruited into GE down in Greenville, not far from you. Loved it down there. I met the whole board of directors of GE my first couple weeks on the job. I was on the leadership program. I met Jack Welch. Like I was on like the track to become the executive level, like the younger 20s guys they're grooming. And the blessing and the curse of that was it was something it was a big dream of mine, but I got to meet I got all the behind the scenes stuff really early, and I got to see and meet the people that I thought I wanted to be, and it ended up turning me off way more than it turned me on. And so I just kind of I just spent all these years to chase this dream, and now I'm seeing people at least where I was put, and wow, there's not a lot of good marriages here. Like the guys that I want to follow, I mean, they live in different cities from their wives, and they don't have good relationship with their kids, and they're divorced, and they're overweight. I'm like, I don't want that kind of a life in 20 years. So that was my first world. So I know we didn't get to talk more about that, Tom, but it took me 5.
I have similar stories. Bottom line is, the people who have been doing it 20 years longer than I am are completely miserable. And if that's what I have to look forward to, I need to figure out something else. Yeah,
no, exactly. And I think that was probably the best part of my early career. But, you take so much of that analytical ability. Like, well, people would say I show up at their house. So you're a former engineer. Like they just question mark. I see a question mark, like the Riddler on Batman, like this right above their head. Like head scratcher. Question, like engineer? Yes, trust me.
Something's not making sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I say they didn't pay me enough as an engineer.
Did you have a discussion with your parents trying to explain your decision?
No, I didn't need to.
I remember talking to my dad about it, and this was a long time ago, and he didn't quite understand it all.
Yeah. Well, you were in your parents' backyard still, possibly?
Well, they lived in Virginia at the time, and I was working in Manhattan. And I walked away from that to move to Charleston, South Carolina to get in the house cleaning business with my mother-in-law at that time. And
awesome.
you got this career and this pedigree and all this stuff, and you're like on the fast track, and you want to clean homes. Was kind of the discussion.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you made the choice to want to clean homes. I didn't want to clean homes. That's a whole nother story. But I ended up cleaning homes because that was the only option presented to me when it all came down. Because I didn't leave engineering willingly. My heart left engineering about a year after the scenario I told you. And then it was a downward progression of me just putting less and less into it and trying to pull together side hustles and other businesses and like what else can we do? And eventually the company we transferred to upstate New York to get closer to family. And then just a little bit after that, I was let go. They said, "Yeah, you don't want to be here, Ken. We know that. So we're just going to let you go do what you want to do now." I said, "Oh boy." So
that's doing you a favor. It might not feel like that, but
they gave me a big kick out the back door, and I was so oblivious. I'm like the ultimate optimist. I had no idea what was going on, even when it happened. I'm like, "What do you mean you want to let me go? Like, you want me to come back next week?" Like, I was like, "No, I had no idea." So they said, "No, like, we don't want you to come." It's like the Jim Carrey line in Dumb and Dumber. Like, what are my chances? Like, more like 1 in a million. Like, we don't ever want you to come back.
Never.
Never. And so
I have a chance.
Exactly.
So like in 2021, you mean? Like,
is there like, when's this, and everything. So you come home and I'm sitting in the parking lot. I'm like, okay, so this isn't good. My wife, we have a 10-month-old at home. This is back in, it was the day before Halloween of 2005 is that day that I got that final pink slip. He said, "You're done." So I worked out an agreement with him to let me stay on through the year to like interview for other jobs. And we had 3 little part-time businesses at the time. None of them made any money. None. Like we were doing an Amway business. We did like the multi-level. And my wife had started like a little bridal company, like selling like wedding dress preservation kits and invitations and like that. And then she had started a cleaning business, just like the property manager of our apartment complex. Like, "Hey, Teresa, our cleaner stinks. Hey, you're a stay-at-home mom. Do you want to clean? Because our cleaner stinks." And she's like, "Sure, I'll do it." And so that's like it was that. So I'm trying to interview for engineering job, and we're people of faith, and just a lot of prayer went into this. And the way it just emerged, every time I've tried to run from cleaning, it's like a door would open up, go that way. And so just walk through that door and just see what happens, no matter how hard it was, how uncomfortable, how unglamorous, how embarrassing. Like, you're an engineer, you're cleaning toilets now. That's right. It didn't make any sense. But I'm thankful. I'm very thankful for the career that I now have. It's very fulfilling.
yeah. Well, so tell us a little bit about like what's fulfilling about it. I can see that, it's nice that you got 5 kids now and you can pay your bills, and it's like, phew, okay, some relief there. But why fulfilling? That's not something that.
Okay, so there's 2 parts to that answer. One is I have a servant's heart, and I think I mean from seeing so many clean people in our industry, I believe that most of the people in this industry have that, because it's hard to do what we do. And so we I think generally all have a servant's heart. So there's a gratification. So I solo clean, okay, and I'll come back to that. But there's a gratification, an immediate gratification of seeing a home cleaned. It really is. It's, just seeing, like, you have a carpet that's full of cat hair and you vacuum it, and immediately there's like that, like that therapeutic feeling, right? Or you finish a bathroom and you turn around and say, "Wow, look at the bathroom." There's an immediate fulfillment. And that's not something I got when I was at GE. I didn't get the "good job, Ken." Like, once every year I might get that, but I would get more of this, like, "You suck 100 times, do a great job." So, but in this, it really is gratifying, especially when you end up, identifying the right clients, people that really appreciate the work. They're willing to pay for the services that you offer, and they're just grateful. That's one part of it. On like the personal and the financial. So I don't want to dive in too much to my story because I want to make sure I can answer questions. But I didn't have intention of staying a solo cleaner for my entire career. Like I started hiring people in my second year because I had too much work and I had no clue what I was doing and I was terrible at it. But I barely had a Facebook account in 2006. And I didn't know how to find mentorship or how to find coaching programs. I'm like, okay, so it's on me. I'm an engineer. I can figure this out. Tom probably can relate to that. And I couldn't figure it out. I wasn't good at it. My profits were terrible. I was working a ton. And then I got on the phone with a business coach of mine who I knew through the multi-level, through the Amway business. And Tom, you probably relate to this. This is a good old boy that lives in Spartanburg, a good friend of mine. So not far from me up the road. And he's from Kentucky. And he's like, Ken, I see what your problem is. I'm like, what is? I'm a simple guy from Kentucky. You can't afford your employees. I said, okay, so what's that mean? Go back to working by yourself. He's like, I'm a Kentucky redneck. Here's how we do it. I'm like, okay, Herb, how do we do this? He says, you go get yourself a lot of work. And when you can't handle it yourself, when you run yourself ragged, then go hire someone, bring on someone part-time, and then go build up your work again, then get them from part-time to full-time. Then like just step by step. I'm like, that makes sense versus what I was doing is a bunch of people doing, and I'm like, I'm terrible at this. And he says, go back to working by yourself. And that month I said, okay, I'll do it. And my profit tripled. I'm like, wow, this is great. And I just kind of stayed on solo. And to come back to your question of fulfilling, within a couple of years, the engineering started kicking in. And I'm like, well, I can hire, but I'll just kick it down the road another year because I just got faster. I'm getting a little bit more per house. And I have like an extra day, like that I can be home with my kids. I have a young family. And that progressed over the years to the point, I mean, when I sold my first business in New York, I mean, I had taken my business from like the typical five-day solo schedule, 5 or 6 days, because I had a lot of weekends. I'd taken that schedule from 5 days down to 2 days a week, and I was still earning the same income. Oh. And so on 2 days a week, and I was profiting about $60,000 a year on 2 days a week, cleaning houses.
Was that because you were more productive, billing a higher bill rate? Why?
It's all the above. It's getting the max prices with the right clients and having very fast cleaning times. So minimizing expenses, maximizing everything else. So when I was able to do that, the fulfilling part is I really like having 5-day weekends, Liz, with my family. I'll go to work 2 days to go make my income. And are we making 6 figures? No, but we're getting by okay on 60,000 as our family. And I can do other things too with my time. So I started some of the consulting stuff and, which kind of leads to what I'm doing now, running the podcast and the different groups I'm running. So that was the fulfilling part, is having that time and the flexibility as a solo cleaner. And then other solo cleaners, when I start, talking about what I've done on these different groups, Ken, how'd you do that? And so that's just trying to serve. And the other part of fulfilling is serving the cleaning community and answering questions and teaching them how to do the same thing. If they want to be a solo cleaner, it's not terrible. If that's what you want to be, it's okay. And I can show you how you can stay a solo cleaner, make a great income, and you don't ever have to scale if you don't want to. Or you could just set up your business to be scalable. Like, would you rather have your average client be, I don't know what you guys are seeing in the different coaching you do, but between what, $3,000 and $3,500 per house per year, something like that for biweekly houses, something like what you see. So I can get close to 5,000 per house, and so it's just more money per house and less needed. So it just opens up more doors. Would you rather scale at 5,000 a house or 3,000 a house?
So yeah. You mentioned, when you were living in upstate New York, you had your cleaning business there, and you sold your cleaning business in upstate New York?
I did. Yep. I sold a solo cleaning business. Can you go figure? So 0 employees went along with that. Is that correct? That's right. That's a solo business.
So
I'll fill in the blank here because I can see that question mark hovering right above your head.
Thank you.
So I knew, and I found this out very quickly. I could call up, let's say there's a Tom and a Liz that ran some local businesses near me. Hey, Tom and Liz, I have this many clients and we're doing this much in revenue, make an offer. And of course they're going to, and okay, well, tell me about your setup. I do it by myself, not interested. Or they'll lowball me. I'll give you 5,000, 10,000. I found out pretty quick that that's what the business would be worth.
Mhm.
So instead of doing it that way, I sold a dream. I found a good friend of mine that I was searching for the right person. I found a good friend of mine who in his mid-20s, he had a job, industrial job, running machines. He's hurting his body and he's making like $16 an hour. He had no flexibility. And I spun a dream from him. I told him I'm leaving the area. He already knew and trusted me. And I just said, this is what I'm doing. I'm looking to sell this business off. And, ironically, he was very interested in it. And I said, well, I'm actually going to a cleaning conference. I was going to Debbie Sardone's speed cleaning, the first cleaning conference I'd ever gone to. I'd never done anything in our industry. And I said, if you want to come with me, he's like, I'd love to come. And so I brought him with me to speed cleaning. Debbie helped to kind of close the deal. But he got so excited about the vision of what it could do, because he saw, like, I had an optimized solo cleaning business that 2 days a week. And he's like, wow, I could literally take Ken's entire business, put it inside of I already work full time. I can do his business while I'm working full time. And probably in a year, I could quit my job. So he ended up quitting his job in 6 months. And now he's making triple what he used to make. So I was able to, and I did all of my due diligence on putting an evaluation of what the business was worth. And I found, some analytical models, Tom, where there's like 9 factors. And the factor of, do you have employees? I ranked very low in that area.
Sure.
But in other areas like recurring and trust, and how, like, if I have my average customer for 5, 6, 7 years, that was a big plus. Having my numbers and all of my paper, like my QuickBooks in order, that was a big plus. And so all the things added up, and I figured out the value of the company. I did some comps, like I was a realtor, and I came up with a price that was good, and I worked out a deal with my buyer. So instead of selling the way you envision it as I'm selling a business, I mean, I sold a dream, and he bought into the dream, and I fully trained him on how to take over, and he's doing great.
And when was that?
That was 2 years ago.
Okay.
So
now you're living in Philadelphia?
Right, Philadelphia, and I'm building a new solo cleaning business. I'm just under 2 years back into it.
So when you say solo cleaning, you're the only employee?
Yep.
Okay.
We're an S Corp, so technically my wife and I are both employees of the company.
So I know, Ken, that part of what you teach is for people who actually want to try and scale this model too. So It's not that I know we do have some people, like Shannon is saying, that's where she wants to be. She wants to work in the field and work fewer days and be able to volunteer. But I know we also have a lot of other people that want to learn about the solo model and how to optimize having employees that are running solos, right? Without having them just be independent contractors, having them be employees and working that. And that's part of what you train about, right? Yeah.
So just to be clear, this is a new area I'm diving into. So on the consulting side of what I've been doing, this has been about 4 years now. I have a course on solo cleaning, on the model that I have done, and it's called the ISO model. It stands for Initialize, Stabilize, Optimize. It's not like, oh, Ken just stumbled into 2 days a week. There's a system behind that. I'm an engineer. Of course, there's a system, and it has all these different pieces in there. So I've done a course on that, and I started coaching solo cleaners to do the same thing. And now I'm running membership groups. I have a membership group. I run a podcast for solo cleaners. And I have a membership group for solo owners to do that, to do the model I've done. Plus, I also run an accountability group called the Smart Cleaning Tribe. So those are things I'm running in the consulting. Wow. And I was starting to see, like, the tea leaves kind of thing. Like, you know what, this solo teams, I think it's going to be huge. I started running some numbers, talking to some people, and even like coming and watching your our mutual friend now who came on your show, Chris Willett. I mean, he was on here about a month ago. And when I watched that, I was like, wow, this is awesome. I went and, connected with Chris and we talked and he let me interview him. I used him as a case study in the Made Summit talk that I ran, I did last month. So I'm starting to see that there is a tremendous upside to what if the things that I've done as a solo owner, what if we could take that and plug it into an existing business with teams? And so disclaimer, I'm not here promoting myself to say, oh, if you're running solo teams, hire me, I can help you transition. No, I have not run a large company. I have not run a 7-figure company with teams and have ever successfully transitioned teams to solos. I have never done that, so I would never attempt to teach something I haven't done. But once a company has already made the transition, like they buy in, I want to have solo teams. They make that change. Now I can give them a system to help them optimize their solo teams to become optimized solo teams. So that's the disclaimer. Now, there's a couple of things I'd like to kind of maybe open with.
Yeah.
So I quoted you, Liz, on my talk, and I think this was so cool when we chatted on the phone, I guess a month or so ago. And the quote that you said was this: in a post-COVID world, people are super sensitive to germs and containing them. And I said, say that again. I wrote that down. Mm-hmm. And I believe right now, like and I shared this in the talk, I believe that we're in this like perfect storm of, we talked about hurricanes and tornadoes before we came on, where we are in this like post-COVID, like what's going to happen. I think for all these years, cleaning companies, the first piece is that they're running these cleaning teams, 2, 3, 4 people, whatever they're running. And people are getting a little weird. Like, boy, there's been a lot of COVID happening, mass social distancing. I don't know if I want to have 3 people in my house. Are you guys kind of getting some of that pushback at all? Like starting to see that people are changing? Like I would love to just have one person in and out of my house. Like, are you seeing that too?
So we were seeing it more before, and then, people were kind of like, oh, okay, well, whatever. They kind of got weary, they're just like worn down and tired of worrying about COVID. And what we saw is a lot of people that didn't personally know anyone that had been affected by COVID. And so they were feeling like, I'm just tired and my house is dirty and I just need help now. And so I'm not going to worry about that stuff. We're seeing a little bit more right now though, because with the spiking right now, they sort of like let it go for a while, but now they're sort of starting to get a little bit nervous again. That's what I personally.
When you say they, you're still, at least my experience, what I'm seeing and talking to other people, it's a minority. Mm-hmm. Most people are just clean my home the way you always did. I'm not saying it's rational, but the details and the science and the facts just kind of. People don't want to burn the calories thinking about that. It's just
they're tired.
Yeah.
It's just too much. They couldn't sustain that level of like scared nervousness. It's just too much. So we're seeing a lot of it, and then now not so much.
I was on a call with Gary Murphy, Robin and Gary Murphy. They're large Maid Brigade franchisees just north of New York, like up in Westchester. And I was talking to him right before we got on the call. And they're doing some really awesome stuff with site-generated disinfectants, hypochlorous acid, stuff like that. And they've got the Victory sprayers, and they are cutting edge on so much stuff. He says, most of my clients could care less about any of this. They just want to clean their home. And I was so disappointed to hear that. It's awesome. They've got to care. No, they don't care.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to come back again, but For right now.
I mean, I guess that's good to see. I mean, they're returning to like the old normal days, like just clean my house. I was thinking we're going to see more of this, and maybe it's my part of the country. People are pretty freaked out still up here, up in the Northeast. So maybe it's a demographic thing or geographic. But the point I was making is that I think probably never before we're in an opportunity that we can go down the solo cleaner. Mm-hmm. And they say, well, it's going to take longer, but here's the benefit. You're going to have one person in your house. You don't have to worry about, as much cross contamination and where that, the whole contact tracing. If you have 2-3 people, it could be like, 100 people that traces back to versus one person. So I think that is something that is weighing on people's minds, and also getting the same person every time can be a benefit. So I think there's a little bit of that from the customer side. So yeah, they've got that, they're tired of everything and they want to just get back to cleaning. But I think there still was a lot of people that would like something different, a little bit more personal, more one-on-one. And that opens up the door for us to do that. And on the other side, I was talking to Alonzo Adams, he's another friend of ours over at ArcSea, and he's a neighbor of mine. He's up in the Philadelphia area, and we were talking, and he said something that was really intriguing. I'll just quote him too. He said, "We need to operate as efficiently as possible in this new world. It's our duty to operate profitable businesses so we can help and impact more people in our communities." This came from a conversation we had. We're having, like, it seems like, and I'm in the industry, like you guys have been around the industry and coaching for a long time. I've only been part of the bigger industry for the last 4 years. But for what I'm seeing, there's such a big push to let's get to 7 figures. Let's grow. Let's get this business as big as we possibly can. But I don't hear the other side of the message. Like, let's make this as efficient as we possibly can. I'm an engineer, Tom, that drives me nuts. Like, let's make, like, I'm Six Sigma trained, and I want efficient. So like my solo business is like super ultra efficient. So I was telling that to Alonzo, and he said, I think that cleaning business owners are starting, gosh, maybe this is the time. What if we could still hit the big numbers? But what if we could do it with less people? Yeah. Or what if we could get more per house? Isn't that a good thing?
That is a good thing.
And so I think these kind of like just second thoughts for like from the homeowner's perspective, like, yeah, I would like to have less people in my house. And from the business owner's perspective, yeah, I would like to just take a step back and say, what if I could have a model that was more efficient, that I could get more out of, I could go farther with less, like the book Essentialism, or the one thing, like, how can I get more out of less productivity? So that's where I believe the benefit of the solo team comes in. So, I mean, I can kind of leave that on the table for questions. I can share some like case studies.
I'll get through that a little bit in terms of, I mean, I'd like to hear your ideas on where the efficiencies come from, because we talk about this on Smart Business Moves, the concept of return on human capital, that most service businesses generate more revenue per labor hour than what you find in house cleaning. House cleaning, in a relative sense, is on the lower end of the scale in terms of return on human capital. And because of that, it's hard to compete for the best labor. It's hard to compete, from, investing in technology and management and all the other assets it takes to grow a business, because your return on human capital is too low.
So why do you think the cleaner comes up with less than other service providers?
Market conditions, supply and demand, and there's a lot of people out there that are willing to offer their services at a lower rate. And that's part of it. The other part of it is how well services are managed. I mean, we always have said, like, within my business, people come visit us in Charleston. I make the comment that I'm in the logistics business. It just happens to be We're providing house cleaning services, but it's our objective to maximize the amount of productivity, the amount of productive work we get out of people every day.
Yeah, I think maybe here's an example I think could speak to this. You got Susie, a mom at home. I just made up Susie. It could be Liz. It could be Liz. That's fine. And Susie's got a problem with her pipe, right? And a pipe breaks. The plumber comes over and she doesn't. Here's the deal is that Susie treats the plumber as a specialist because she can't fix the pipe herself. And so whatever the price is, like, oh my gosh, it's $300 just to put a little plug in there. Why is it so much? But then she's like, no, I can't do it. I don't have that skill. That plumber's a specialist. You call the electrician, the plumber, the HVAC guy, they all have specialties to Susie because Susie doesn't know it. But the cleaner, oh, well, Susie's like, well, I can clean. I just don't want to. So where Susie was paying for the specialty of the plumber, but also the plumber's time, in the case of the cleaner, I'm only willing to pay for the time of the cleaner because I could go clean. They're not a skilled person. There's no specialty in what they do. Anybody can do it. And so price goes down. And they how much you charge? I charge $150 per visit. What? No way. I would never pay more than $75. And so I think, Tom, that's the competing that we're dealing with, because I think too many of us in this industry are willing to sell ourselves to that and say, oh, fine, I'll do it for 75. So I don't look at it like that. I believe that you can, and I am a specialist in cleaning. I believe that there are 3 levels of cleaning. Level, and I've done a podcast on this recently, but the first level is like the basics, the stuff that Susie can do. And that's fine, the basics. But also in the basics, in the level 1 cleaner, is you've got to be legit, like a real company. Even if you're a DBA, that's fine, a DBA corporation, but you've got your insurance, you get your certifications, you got the basics, but you're a legit cleaner. That's a level 1. And just having some of those basic certs and insurances separates you. Like, oh, Susie's like, oh, you've taken initiative to become like a real business. Wow, I can see you're worth more. I can have peace of mind if something breaks. Great, I don't have to worry about it because you're insured. So there's more value there. Okay. The next level, and this is a big one. Like, okay, so over at ARCSI, you can take the GBAC course, or like the HCT course. There is the second level. I call it adding in the science of cleaning. So can you become a specialist in really understanding how to properly disinfect, especially at a time like this? And so like in my area, I have taught the 9 mistakes in disinfecting, and it's gone over really well. I've done it in newsletters. I've done talks on my Chamber of Commerce. People see me out there. It's like, wow, this guy is like, get in front of the camera. Yeah, he's the basics, but this guy stinking knows his science. He knows what pH cleaner to use on what dirt. He knows how to like do that. And he knows how to properly disinfect and make sure he kills corona. That's really important to me. That has a value. That's the next level. And that separates. So Susie, the homeowner, she's like, well, I just listened to that guy's 9 mistakes in disinfecting. I'm doing 7 of them. And so I guess I'm not disinfecting properly. So I guess I really don't know. He is or she is a specialist. They're worth, oh yeah, $150 for sure. I can see that because I won't have to do it and it gets done right. And then level 3 is, so Tom, you won't, I don't know if you have the same background here as me, but I'm also an art guy. So I'm an engineer, art.
Oh, art.
In high school, I was in advanced placement calculus and advanced placement art in the same year.
Okay.
I'm kind of on both sides. So I'm very creative.
Both sides of that.
Yeah, I'm a very creative. And I've been working with real estate agents and stagers for 15 years. I have learned the art of what I call presentation cleaning. It's how to present a home for sale, or how to present, let's say, an office. Let's say you have a high scale clientele coming into like a brokerage firm. I know how to master the art of the first impressions to help sell that office to their clientele. That is level 3, called the presentation cleaning, or the art of cleaning. So I bring in that, which is the next level. So I say I'm a level 3 cleaner, and that just keeps raising in my value. And I don't budge on price, but I also offer options. And when I give people an option range, and they see my value, and I spend time with people, I kind of defy a lot of things that, in all the technology we have. I think the trends are to well, let's just do everything automated. And I know I'd get a lot of pushback when I say stuff like this, but I spend time. Maybe I'm able to as a solo cleaner, but I believe that to build a successful solo model, you're going to want to spend more time with each of your clients before as you're onboarding them, because you develop that specialty, and they see that specialty. And then when they see prices that are higher, Susie says, of course I'm willing to pay like $200 per visit versus $125, because I'm getting so much more out of it. They see the value. So
Right.
That's kind of is that kind of answer? Like, I was trying to put that in a story frame.
No, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
I love it.
When you are a proprietor, I mean, a lot of companies, whether they do team solos, whatever, the whole negotiation with the client is done by one person, and the person doing the cleaning is somebody different.
Sure.
When the cleaner is actually, doing the negotiating and the sales and defining the scope of work, that makes that's a powerful mix.
But I also see how using this 3 levels of knowledge can make a big impact for a company as well. I probably would have had the art of presentation as the second level, and then the science being like we got the basics plus art for 2, then we got the basics plus the art of presentation plus additionally the science. Yep. I probably would have done that, but I totally understand why you have the other way as well. I mean, both ways make really great sense to me. Anybody can clean.
The only reason I put, and by the way, you can take this, steal it, and use it in your business, and you can make level 1, 2, and 3 whatever number you want.
Yeah, totally.
So I chose presentation as level 3 because in real estate cleaning, because of my ability, here's the deal. Like with real estate, the person going to buy the home is emotional, and it's not a rational decision. Like, oh, I'm buying this house because it's perfect. They are making most of the decision on those first impressions. And I know how and where to get a house ready for sale. Like, where do you sparkle the right things? And because of that, realtors refer me differently than they refer other contractors. And therefore, I have such a high level of recommendation and trust before I even talk to a customer that I was commanding prices upwards of 120 plus per hour in real estate presentation cleaning. So I make more money. Like my additional value, I think that, there's many reasons, but the art and the science, they both add a value. But I do want to say one other thing that's the most important. I mean, level 0, if there is such a thing. Liz, you did an amazing talk on like building trust. Mm-hmm. And I have an example that just drives this home. So I'm solo cleaning for 2 doctors, husband and wife, up in New York. I had the ability, and other families too, to do exit interviews with my clients, like hugging them, crying, like, oh, I have to go. And I'm wanting them to transition to the new owner. Right. But it also gave me the ability to ask questions that I couldn't just ask. But now that I'm leaving, I can learn stuff. So I took that opportunity to learn. And so these 2 doctors, here's one, I was like, it blew my mind. They were paying me $200 per visit biweekly. I was knocking that house out when it was fully optimized in 2 hours, and they were super happy. That's $100 an hour for that house. Awesome. She told me as I was leaving that she's now just going to go hire someone else for $100. I said, okay, explain that. Well, she told me that all of her neighbors are using someone else and she knows they're paying $100. And I said, but you were paying me 200? I mean, just asking, was I twice as good?
Yeah.
It's a logical question.
Yeah.
And she said, Ken, it's because of the trust factor. And she said that we're two docs, we're in and out of the house, we leave the door open, the dog sitter's coming and letting and we have our checkbook spread out, we have jewelry laying around, we knew you, we trusted you, and that had a value that was very high to us as doctors. And so they were willing to pay me $100 more. Now they probably would have paid me because of my level 1, 2, and 3 stuff. Maybe they would have paid me $150. Okay. But I know that the trust piece was like, that's probably the level 4. I don't know where you put that in order, but the trust piece is huge. And
but explain to me, Ken, why are they willing to now pay $100?
Because I don't know.
They don't know whoever they hire. They're not going to have
them.
that same level of trust.
Yeah, they didn't know them like they knew me. So
they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to pay a lot because I don't know this guy. I don't trust him anyway. So
if I have to hire somebody I don't trust, I might as well pay them $100.
Pay $100.
It just shows you, though. And I have other examples too, like another couple. They said something very similar. I mean, it wasn't the pricing, but they said, Ken, the reason they said we knew that you missed things time and time, but we didn't care. I'm like, okay, why don't you tell me? I want to get better. I want to get better. They said honestly, it was all trust. Like, one time the engagement ring, they left it in the soap dish in the bathroom, and I didn't want to watch. I take the engagement ring. I text him, hey, I found the engagement ring. He left it in the bathroom. I put it over here on this counter for you. I don't want it to lose. Like, just little things like that. Like, your money left around, and they just said, Ken, it was 90%. 90% trust, 10% that you were a great cleaner. So I learned a lot about the power of trust. And when you're built, so let's say you want to have solo cleaning teams. If you want to be able to take the solo cleaning teams and be able to optimize them and get faster, and you want to start getting higher priced client, the number one asset you need to possess is trust within yourself and within every person you hire. And I also love, I'll kind of mention give Chris a shout out, Chris Willett, what he said on this forum a month ago. And when I talked to him in person, I think he totally nailed it. I believe that there's a totally different animal of person that you hire when you go from a team cleaning to a solo person. Mm-hmm. And when I said it to Chris this way, I said, I think what you need is an employee with an owner's mindset, someone that thinks like a business owner, but they don't want to own the business. They don't want the work of it. They don't want to deal with the business, but they think like a business owner. Dave Ramsey calls them entree leaders in his book, Entree Leadership. I think that's what you need to hire, someone that's teachable, that's ambitious, that has the ability to gain a ton of trust. Like, when you're interviewing them, if you don't catch that trust factor from them right away, run. Like, bring in great people of character. And if you do, I think you've put yourself in a great position that you can build something great with a solo model, because the potential of solo teams is, like Chris and Hannah from my case studies, I saw 2 companies that went from teams to solo teams, and each of them were like in Chris's case, he went from like 23 employees down to like 17 or 18 to do the same level of revenue. So that's less people do the same work. And in Hannah's case, she went from 8 to 6. So what I'm seeing in case studies is about 10 to 20% increase in efficiency, Tom. And that's directly into your bottom line. That's profits. So you're talking about an additional 10 to 20% in profits just to make the switch from teams to solo teams if you've got the right people in place. And then the next step, which is like the holy grail stuff, like you take like what I did now as a solo owner, you take that model and you put it into the right people that have that character, that trust, that ambition, that independent work ethic, that ownership. These are my houses that I'm cleaning. These 10 houses, these are my houses. And I know what they need to keep them happy. And they tend to get faster because they kind of pick up on what a solo can just kind of get faster because they know that home. But when you got teams, you get different people in there. I don't see teams getting faster over time. They kind of just stay status quo unless you kind of, force them. So I think the potential of once you get those people in there, well, maybe
Hopefully
you guys
not with this.
yeah, I'm a northeast guy, I guess. But you can take those solos now and you can coach them up. You can teach them some skill set. You can teach them how to optimize. And when they've got ultimate trust built up with all of their houses, they can get faster. And the clients are like, wow, yeah, that's great. You're doing the same job, the same excellence, but you're out faster. Awesome, because COVID, I don't want you in here as long anyway. And good,
Yeah.
I have kids to put to bed and they're happy, you're happy, you're making more. And the potential, Tom, of like increased profits is you can take a company with solo teams and turn it into optimized solo teams. And you could almost double the revenue with the same number of people. Like the potential is so big.
Ken, I feel like this is part one of a multi-part series.
Sorry, I talk a lot.
No, this is awesome, and this is useful stuff. And I just think that we're touching the surface. We really need to have you back so we can drill down in more details in terms of some of the nuances. I love your 3 levels of cleaning, and I think that we basically get the basics, and to some degree, certainly science too. That's out there, but the finer points of staging and the presentation cleaning, I think that's new for a lot of people. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it that way, and how to get the higher levels of productivity, the higher levels of return on human capital from solos. And what Marlo wants that. She's agreeing with what you're saying. We are at the top of the hour though, and real quick, we'll probably want to share what we're doing here for the rest of the week. Liz, you want to walk us through this?
Sure. So Samantha is going to be on tomorrow, and she's going to talk about, so a lot of us have been talking about pivoting during COVID, right? And so she's going to talk about something, a way that she has pivoted in her company and how it's working, and how it might be something that our guests would be interested in learning about and doing as well. On Wednesday, we have Kurt Kempton. Anybody that knows Kurt knows he's always very, very engaging and interesting to listen to. He is the owner, creator of Responsivid, but the topic is overcome your fear of online quotes and scheduling and make more money. So a lot of people don't want to do online quoting or scheduling because they're afraid of a lot of different parts of that. And he's going to talk to us about how to overcome the fear, how to make it work for you, not by using Responsivid. You can do it yourself. Obviously you could use Responsivid, but just how to overcome the fear and how to make that work for you. And then Thursday, we have a secret guest for On the Spot. And I can't remember who it is. Oh my goodness. Tom, do you have a clue? First, who it is? Oh my gosh.
No.
It's
pretty good. I promise you. On the Spot is always good. We'll have 2 hints tomorrow. How about that?
Yes, I apologize, you guys. It just came out of my head.
Okay.
And it's a really good guest. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I'm sorry. I got nothing. I don't know, Tom. You have the schedule there, don't you? You must.
Working on it.
And I remember I gave 2 hints actually on Friday.
Did you?
Yeah, because remember you said one was the gender was also a hint.
Okay.
Can you give a hint off the top of your head?
He has been on Smart Business Moves before.
That was the hint from Friday.
The hint from Friday.
How about initials? Maybe I'll know who it is.
And don't want to make it too easy because it's only Monday.
I know it. Yeah, right, Liz? You're right. I'm a blonde. Gosh, at heart, I am.
Yeah, you
Okay.
are.
Oh, yeah, there are a lot of, they're all easy, aren't they?
Yeah.
All the hints. So how would a play on his last name? Now that I said that, it's no good. That's
Am I
what we
allowed
did
to
with
guess
Megan.
too, or what?
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
Jump on in.
You got something, Ken?
I'm waiting for the wordplay.
Yeah.
There's not many guys, so that narrowed it down.
We actually have a ton of guys. We really do. I don't have anything perfect. How about
He will do a great job of presenting to our flock.
Yes, he will. I agree that he will. And he always has. Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right.
So
That's it,
if you
guys.
have
That's our big.
to Cleaning Business Today, it's really easy. Just email first name, last name. It's absolutely free. You got our newsletter, updates, breaking news. I'll drop the link to our resource page.
Tom, while you're doing that, I'm gonna hit Ken up for a couple of links as well. Maybe you could send us some links, Ken, to some of your groups. I know that you mentioned you have Smart Cleaning Tribe. You have a bunch of different things that you're doing. Maybe you could give us some links. We probably should have shown them on the screen, some of these different things.
Quick.
It's fine. Yeah, go solocleaningschool.com is the best link.
Okay.
Solo Cleaning School. And you can go check out my podcast. That's totally free. So I would say if anyone's out there and they're like, well, what does it look like to be a solo cleaner? Well, here's 85 episodes on solo cleaning mindset.
How long have you been doing the podcast?
Not quite a year, like 9-10 months.
Oh.
It's been a lot of fun.
Somebody was on here. I think it might have been Liz that said she came straight here from listening to one of your podcasts.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I saw some other comments too that were very kind. Thank you for everyone for what you said about me.
And is that the name of the podcast, Ken?
Yep.
Solo Cleaning School? Okay.
Yep. It's on all the major channels, iTunes, Google, Stitcher, all that stuff. You can find it there, or you can get it on my website too.
Okay.
From the website, you'll see the different groups I run if you just poke around. I got some free resources on there and some free courses you can check out. So there's plenty of stuff to goof off with on my website. And if you go to the resources page, I even have a book list, my recommended book list of some really great books to read. There's a lot of them, so don't try and get them all done in a month.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Oh, some of my favorite books on here.
Oh yeah, there's some good ones.
I dropped the link in the chat, so you guys need to check this out. I'm going to spend a little time here.
I appreciate you guys promoting the website and for bringing me on today.
Well,
Yes.
will you come back again, Ken?
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. I'd love to.
So really, our thing here on Smart Business Moves is about helping everybody to find the smart business move that's going to work for them. We're all trying to work together. You know, we're not making any money off of any of this. You're not going to make any money off of any of this. Well, you might, if somebody decides to link up with you, but that's not the goal here. The goal is for everybody to find what's working for them and to increase the entire industry by everybody working harder.
Rising. You ever hear the story of how do you become the biggest building in town? You can either knock down all the other buildings, or you can grow. And a rising tide rises all ships.
That one I've heard.
Yeah.
You also spoke to one thing that I really just wanted to point out real quick, that not a lot of people in our industry focus on profit. And I would really love to see more people doing that. When I started the Mastermind Accountability Groups, that's one of the, we only track 5 KPIs, and that's one of the KPIs. And it is one that people are not familiar with. They're like, what should we be benchmarking for? And that's tough. All right, Tom, I know
we are 5 minutes past. Apologies. It's Monday. We got a slow start, but this is great. Ken, You're an awesome guest. Thank you.
No,
So
thank
much.
you. Thanks for having me on, both of you. I appreciate the time.
I'm going to hit you up with when you can come on again.
Yeah,
Ken.
be great. Be great.
So much.
Take care.
Yeah.
Be safe. See you tomorrow with Samantha Snyder at 5 o'clock Eastern. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.